Hello and welcome to Rob's Retro Reviews, where today we're doing something a bit different than usual, and instead of taking a look at a normal game, we're taking a look at a demo disc. Not just any demo disc though, but perhaps the most well-known one ever made. That's right, I'm talking about Demo 1 for the PS1. I don't have the case for it anymore, so I'm just having to resort to holding up the disc. First of all, I want to point out that this particular version of Demo 1 that I own, and the one which I'll be talking about in this video, is the 1997 PAL version. I didn't actually know this before researching for this video, but there's loads of different variants of Demo 1 that were released in different regions of the world across different eras of the PlayStation's lifespan. Later versions of Demo 1 had demo versions of games like Medieval, Tekken 3, Crash Bandicoot 3, Tomb Raider 3, and other high-profile games. Whereas earlier versions of Demo 1 had games on it like Wipeout 2097, Alien Trilogy, Ridge Racer Revolution, and many others. So looking at all of these awesome games featured on the different versions of Demo 1, it seems it always had great game selections on it. I think the reason people have such fond memories of Demo 1 is because it came bundled in with a lot of original PlayStation systems, so a lot of people's first ever memories of the console as a whole would have included messing around with this demo disc. I know playing it now gives me a shot of nostalgia, that's for sure, but what makes Demo 1 special? Well, as soon as you put it in, you're blasted in the face with an intense and trippy opening sequence that's trying as hard as it can to sell the PlayStation and the future of gaming to you. Between the shots of all of the different games being released on the system, we also have different stats showing what the console is capable of and all of the different publishers making content for it. Oh hell yeah, 1.5 million flat shaded polygons per second. That's the perfect amount of flat shaded polygons for me. But one of the most memorable things about this opening is the music. My god, the nostalgia mites bit me hard when I heard this. Then we get the main menu, which looks futuristic and makes it seem like the PlayStation is running on some weird alien technology or something. The impression I always got from this is that we're navigating the inside of the console and seeing the inner workings of it by putting this disc in. You know what, why didn't the PlayStation Classic use this interface for its menus instead of the crappy BIOS menu we got in reality? This would have been way better. Just listen to these sound effects, this is bringing back all of the memories. Now, if you're thinking that this demo disc is only useful for playing a selection of games, then you're dead wrong. There are actually some other features on this disc that are easily overlooked in favour of just getting to the games. So firstly, did you know that there's a music visualizer built into Demo 1? You simply click on the VCD option and then take the demo disc out of the console and put any standard music CD in, and it'll play it with some trippy visuals. Does anyone actually use these visualizers? They always come built into old music software, but I've never really known a use for it. I mean, it's cool we can use the PS1 to do this, but like, what actually is the point? The PS1 is already a CD player without Demo 1 anyway. I guess it's just nice to look at and zone out. While this visualizer is cool, it doesn't really match the music at all and just seems to do its own thing and hope for the best. So that's a little bit disappointing. It would have been nice if the visuals more closely represented the music that was actually playing. Something that bugs me about Demo 1 is that the menu navigation is inverted, so when you press left, the menu will scroll to the right, and it literally doesn't make sense. Surely when they tested this, people would have pointed that out, and how easy must it have been to have fixed this too? Just make it scroll the right way. Anyway, another extra bit of content on this disc used to scare me, and I'll be completely open with you, it still makes me feel a bit anxious even to this day. So if you go into the tech option on the main menu, you'll find two different tech demos which were probably originally used to showcase the PlayStation's 3D potential. So firstly we have Manta, which is basically just a manta ray floating around in the sea, which you can spin around and zoom in and out of. When this is on the screen right now, it probably isn't creepy at all, but when you're actually experiencing this, something just feels off. I think it's the music, to be honest. As the soundtrack goes on, it develops this weird sinister undertone that feels like it's building up to something, and it just makes me feel really uneasy. It's like something's gonna come out from the sea and eat us or something. This isn't helped by how weirdly melancholy the music is anyway. It goes from being a bit depressing to feeling kinda scary. Have a listen and tell me if you know what I mean. But the next tech demo is where the real scary stuff is. Was anyone else absolutely terrified by this as a kid? Because I know I was. I'm of course referring to the Dino tech demo, where a massive early 3D model T-Rex comes right towards the screen at you from the pitch black background. It's absolutely terrifying. Take a look at it with the music for the full effect. It just makes me feel so uncomfortable, and it leaves me thinking something else even scarier could walk out of the darkness at any second. At least you can make the dinosaur do this though. The last bit of extra content on here are the movies, which are just video demos for Soul Blade and Roscoe McQueen. Soul Blade never really appealed to me all that much, but I always wanted to play Roscoe McQueen and I just never saw it anywhere. I actually later got a playable version of this on another demo disc and it just made me want it even more, and still to this day I've never owned a copy of it. But that's enough of all of the extras, let's take a look at the games featured on this thing. There's actually quite a lot of games on this disc with quite a lot of variety. So first we have Oddworld Abe's Odyssey, which happens to be one of my favourite games of all time, if not my absolute favourite game of all time. And what's interesting with this particular demo is that because I'm so familiar with the actual game, I can spot absolutely loads of differences between this demo version and the normal game. There's some obvious stuff like how Abe can't jump straight up, which is really weird, and how his forward jump seems to go in slow motion for some reason. But then there's more subtle changes, like how the Slig Possession music is slightly modified.
Ow! Hi.
And certain puzzles seem to have been cut from the final game, like this bit where a Madukan would be electrocuted and killed unless you got him to follow you instantly. It's also weird how Abe will say "stay here" instead of "wait", like in the actual game.
Stay here, okay.
Because I'm so used to Abe saying "wait", it just feels so wrong him saying something other than that. What's interesting here though is the attention to detail that Oddworld inhabitants put into this demo version. It actually breaks the fourth wall by blocking off areas and saying "no entry till September 1997", which is insanely cool. The passion that the developers had for this game is so clear even in the demo version. Like they could have just have blocked these areas off and that be it, but they went the extra mile by adding the writing on the walls, and I think that's just so cool. At the end of the demo you're actually forced to die too, which I think is the best ending to any demo on the PS1 ever. Normally they just end when you finish a level, but here they actually added some content into the demo that isn't in the game normally. If you're a fan of Abe's Odyssey, you should pop this demo in and give it a go, because it's interesting playing a game you're so familiar with, but with it being slightly different in a lot of places. It almost feels like a beta version of the game rather than a straight up demo. Anyway, let's move on. I won't be going into this much detail with the other demos on this disc, just because they're all much more standard. The Oddworld one though really is something special in my opinion. But moving on, we've got a demo of Overboard, or if you live in America, Shipwreckers. I always wanted this game as a kid, but after replaying it again for this video, I don't really know why. It's not explicitly bad, but it's not anything special either really. I think the biggest problem is that it doesn't have upbeat enough music and it just becomes a bit boring because of how long the level is. Plus it can feel a bit unfair how quickly you're killed when you don't have a clue what you're doing at the start of the game. But yeah, it's at least something unique to have on the demo disc, and a pirate game isn't something you see all too often, so at least it's got that going for it. Then we have Kurushi, or again, if you live in America, it's called IQ, Intelligent Cube. I'll be honest, as a kid I had absolutely no idea what the hell to do in this game, and I always ended up just falling off the edge and dying. So this is the first time I've ever played this game as an adult and somewhat understood what to do. I didn't play it for long, but I can definitely see how this is a great puzzle game, and it's very unique too. It's kinda difficult to explain, but basically you have a wall of blocks coming towards you, and you have the ability to place a tile onto the floor that'll get rid of a single block. Where it becomes tactical though is that if you get rid of a green block, you can detonate a second tile to destroy all of the blocks surrounding it at will. So it's a matter of multitasking with choosing when to detonate the green block sections and then using your normal tiles to stay alive. I think one of the standout things here though is the weird atmosphere. There's no music and really harsh sound effects, and this combined with the completely black background creates this very uneasy atmosphere. What is it with this demo disc and being strangely scary? To be honest, the blood-curdling screaming that happens when you die doesn't help the situation. Next we have Rapid Racer. No, not Ridge Racer, Rapid Racer. Which is an extremely mediocre boat racing game that literally does nothing special at all and is very annoying to control too. There's nothing more to say about this. It's forgettable and boring, and plus, the graphics are really choppy and distorted too. The bottom of the screen went full on pixely, which must be the game's fault rather than my disc, because it doesn't do this with any other game. Then we have Rage Racer. Again, not Ridge Racer, but Rage Racer. And yet again this is an extremely mediocre racing game, but this time not taking place in a boat. I don't see how it's possible to win this because it's not like I made that many mistakes and I was nowhere near first place. The main issue with this one is that the controls are so slippery and you skid way too easily. It's like the cars just aren't heavy enough and just slip all over the place like they're a bar of soap. And guess what's next? If you said yet another bog standard racing game, you'd be right. Here we have Porsche Challenge, and despite this being yet another arcade style racing game, this one is easily the best in terms of its graphics and controls. It actually feels like you're in control of a heavy vehicle here, and the handling is much better. I was actually able to win in this demo, and I never ever come first in racing games like this. Maybe that makes me biased towards liking this racer over the others, but I don't care. This one is the best racer on Demo 1 in my opinion. The next game is Life Force Tenka, and it's advertised to us as being an endless 3D gore fest as soon as we load it up, so this sounds like my kind of game. It's a first-person shooter, which is bad news because this is the stage of console FPS games where they really hadn't figured out the controls yet, and this is an example of a game where it really shows. It's not the worst FPS on the PS1, but it's not good. To be honest, I could have managed with the controls, but why do the enemies here take so many shots to kill? Plus, why is it so dark? And what the hell am I doing? This timer just started going down, so I ran away and went straight into some gas and died. So yeah, I guess I'm never playing that again. Then finally, after all of this, we have the last game on Demo 1, Hercules. I like how it's actually called Hercules in this demo, whereas the actual game is called Disney's action game featuring Hercules. The creators of the demo obviously knew that this was stupid and just changed it. The full title of the game just makes it seem like the Hercules stuff is just on the side. Like the game is called Disney's Action Game, but it's just featuring Hercules. But no, the game is literally just Hercules, so why not just call it Hercules, bloody idiots? Anyway, this demo is actually really good. It picks one of the best levels of the game and really showcases what's possible with a 2.5D game on the PS1. It has loads of moving into the background and foreground, obstacles coming at you from the background including a boss fight at the end of the demo, and it has a really good mixture of 3D models for environmental details and 2D sprites for all of the characters. It's difficult to do that and make it look good, but Hercules actually pulls that off. It's a great level, and more importantly, it's an awesome display of what the PS1 can do with a game like this. I'm pretty sure I got this game just because of how good this demo was, but unfortunately the full game isn't this consistently good. Overall, Demo 1 is great. It offers quite a few different gameplay styles, and a lot of the games on it are quite replayable too. But on top of that, it's also got the extras like the CD visualizer, the tech demos and the movie demos, so it could keep you entertained for quite a while. I imagine that all of the games featured on this disc did quite well in terms of the money that they made, but the two standout games for me are easily Abe's Odyssey and Hercules, which happen to be the two out of this game selection that I actually own. Looking back on this, I find myself just missing demo discs. It was nice having a contained package like this with its own menus and its own personality. I'm particularly nostalgic about Demo 1 though because of its weirdly scary atmosphere. The loneliness of the Manta Tech demo and the creepiness of the Dino demo, combined with the trippy menu design and somewhat scary games like Abe's Odyssey and Karushi, make this particular demo something really special and put across the more adult-orientated feeling the console was going for when compared with its competition. I mean, it's not like demos themselves don't exist anymore. You can still find them on online services, but because they aren't a physical disc and don't come as a package, it just doesn't have the same feel that they used to. It used to be more of an experience, popping the disc in and seeing what extras were available on them and trying out the games that you might not have ever heard of before. Of course, there's not as much need for demo discs anymore because we live in the age of the internet where you can just look up all of the upcoming releases and see gameplay for them. But it used to be that this was one of the main ways you got to see what was coming out, and because you could actually play them before they were out, it made it feel even more special. Almost like you were invited by the developer to playtest the game or something. I don't know, I just like demo discs alright, especially when they're as well produced as this one. And that's Demo 1. Let me know in the comments what some of your memories of Demo 1 are if you've played it before, and also let me know if you've played any other good demo discs. I've got a few others in my collection, but they're a little bit more obscure than this one. But to conclude here, Demo 1 was an awesome disc to get bundled in with the PS1, even if it is weirdly creepy. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video then give it a like and maybe subscribe to see more content like this coming soon. And until next time, bye!